Hello everyone, welcome again to my channel. Thanks for clicking on this video. I hope you are doing well. So as you can see, we are still talking about inversion. This is an advanced grammar lesson. It is very important for advanced learners and also for future teachers, those who want to apply for the CRMEF entrance exam, as I already told you. So inversion, actually, it is a high, or we can say it is very formal lesson that it's very important to know it or have an idea about it. Okay, so inversion, as I have already told you, it is inversing the subject and the auxiliary of the verb. Okay, so this is very essential idea to keep in mind about inversion. Okay, this is one thing. So in the previous episode we talked about inversion with some negative adverbs. Today we are going to see inversion with conditionals. So this is very important because sometimes with conditionals we inverse the subject and auxiliary in a specific case. So we are going to focus on conditional type 1, conditional type 2 and conditional type 3. Now, the prerequisite for understanding this lesson or for watching this video or following this, it is to be aware of the conditionals, all types of conditionals, the form and the use. So this is the prerequisite for watching this episode, to know the conditionals and the form of these conditionals and the use of these conditionals, because here I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about inversion with such conditionals. Okay? All right. Now, before we move on to talk about inversion in these cases, the first thing that I'd like to tell you about this is that when we talk about conditionals, there is always what we call the F. Okay? The F. So always conditional clauses, not always, but most of the time, start with F, or all conditionals contain F. Okay? Now, for example, here we have if, and here we have if, and here again if, and in number 3 if. So if is a very essential part of the conditional. Now, when we talk about inversion with conditionals, we always remove F. Okay, we always remove F and we apply inversion, as we are going to see here. Okay, now let's start with conditional type 1. If he listens well, he will learn, for example, a lot. If he listens well, he will learn a lot. Now this is conditional type 1. Now if we want to inverse this conditional, we have to remove F. This is part number 1. And part number 2, we have to start, we should start with what? With should. So we start with should. This is in form of auxiliary. It is a modal verb as an auxiliary. And then we complete. Should he listen? Should he listen? Not lessons, because we have the auxiliary verb. Should he listen well? Should he listen well? He will learn a lot. He will learn a lot. Now look what we did here. Here it's as if we replaced F with should, with a modal verb, with should, and we completed the sentence. So here, as you can see, we have inversion. We have inversion of the subject he and the auxiliary of, which is a modal verb here. So we cannot say he should listen well. Should he listen well? So here we have inversion. So in first conditional, inversion in first conditional, we always replace F with should. So remember, for first conditional, we replace F with the modal verb should. Okay? So this is very essential. Like here, should he listen well? He will learn a lot. This is very important to know for first conditional. Let's go to second conditional. If he were sick, he wouldn't go to school, or he wouldn't go to work, whatever. So this is the most important part. If he were sick, he wouldn't go, for example, to work. Now here, what do we have? We have if he were. Now here we have the verb be. Remember, this is verb be in the past, were. This is be, okay, in the past. So if we want to inverse here, we are going to remove F, as I already told you, and we inverse this verb be with he. So we say were he sick, were he sick, he wouldn't. Okay, so here as you can see, we inversed he with were. Okay, he with, this is the verb be actually, so we inverse this one with this. Okay, so were he, not he were he sick, he wouldn't go to school. And the most important thing is that we remove F. This is very important in conditional type 2 when we have the verb be, okay, in the past, which is were. Now let's see another conditional type 2, but without verb be, So here we have if he advised her, he wouldn't be, or she, sorry, wouldn't be in trouble. Now here we have F again. We are going to remove F, but here the verb is advise. The verb is to advise, okay, in the past, to advise. Now here we don't have the verb be. So what are we going to do? Here we are going to start again with were, he, were he. So here we have inversion. Now we need the verb. Here what are we going to do? We are going to use infinitive, to plus verb, to advise, So were he to advise her, she wouldn't be in trouble. Were he to advise her, she wouldn't be in trouble. Here, what did we do? We started with were, even if we don't have were here. So we start with were and plus, so here we have a subject. So there is inversion, as you can see, there is inversion. And we add to plus verb, to or infinitive with to. This is what you have to remember. So here, if you want to summarize for the second conditional, so second conditional, it's always with either be, with be like this one, or with the verb, like here, okay, verb, other verbs, okay. Now the both cases we have to use, or we have to start with were in both cases, all right, were. Now here we can say were, for example, in number 1, were plus subjects, and in number 2 plus subject again, plus 2 plus verb, like we have here in this case. Were he to advise, infinitive with to. So this is the form of, we can say, inversion with second conditional, okay? So either with the verb be, like here, verb be were, so were plus subject, as you can see, or if we have the verb, for example, here, we use were plus subject, this is the subject, plus to plus verb. This is very important to remember. So for second conditional, we can have to, either with verb be or with other verb. Both cases we use were, okay? All right, now let's go to conditional type theory. Conditional type theory, it's very easy. If I had contacted him, he would have solved, for example, a problem. He would have solved the problem, or he would have helped me. If I had contacted him, he would have helped me. Now, here we have again if, and we are going to remove F for sure, because here we are concerned with inversion, as I said. So here we still have I subject, had, which is auxiliary, and contacted, this is the main verb. So very simply, we are going to inverse I with had. So we start with had I, so we are going to say, had I contacted him, he would have solved my problem, or he would have helped me, etc. So this is how we inverse when it comes to conditional type 3. So it's always, we omit the F and we inverse had with a subject. Now the important thing here that you might encounter in the exam, it's either to rewrite the sentence. For example, they may give you a sentence like this and they start with should, and they tell you, or they ask you to complete the sentence or to rewrite the sentence with should. Now here again, we are going to inverse. We are going to just remove he and complete the sentence as it is, and then we would have inversion. Should he, that's inversion. And Also, you might be given a sentence like this, for example, the second conditional, and they start with were, and you are supposed to complete the sentence. And here again, you would have to inverse, as you can see in the two examples. Or you may be given a sentence like this, and they start with had, and they ask you to complete the sentence, or you write the sentence with had. This is number one. Number two, they might also ask you to choose the correct answer. For example, here they may give you a sentence like this. For example, had I contacted him, he would have solved my problem. Or they might tell, for example, the right, this is A, or B, I had contacted him, he would have solved my problem. So for sure, this one is correct, not I had. And most of students or candidates, they choose I had, because they say had I, this is incorrect, so they choose I had. No, had I contacted him, he would have solved my problem. This is with inversion, because this is conditional. This is conditional. Inversion with conditional. So this is very important, as I said, especially for exams. All right. So I hope you find this easy to understand. As I have already told you in episode number 2, the appropriate way to master this is to practice again and again. Try to give your own examples, sentences, and try to inverse. Try to apply inversion as we have seen in this episode. See you in another episode with another lesson. Have a good time. Goodbye and good luck.